G'day Ideapod, my name is Kat Dunn and today this is going to be the final live interview from Creative Innovation Global 2017 here at the beautiful Sofitel in Melbourne. I am here with Peter Hunt, who is the chairman of Greenhill. And I asked Peter this question offline before and we're going to explore it on this live. And the question is, Peter, what is something that you believe to be true that others don't believe to be true?
Like in terms of being in a minority, I think we have many futures ahead of us, and the actual future we have will depend upon what we do today and in the next wee while. At the moment, we've got technology accelerating very quickly, and that will, if we're not careful, lead to a loss of a lot of jobs and greater instability in our society. And to deal with that, we've actually got to embrace the future and work out how we're going to actually support people who become disadvantaged in the process.
And if you have any thoughts or questions that you want to ask people, everybody, feel free to write a comment and share or like this if you like what he has to say. So something we were talking a bit about before was social dislocation, and you said that really 74% of people that were surveyed in some of the stats that you were showing before believe that government were mostly interested in looking after themselves. So there's this real sense of disillusionment and a loss of trust in government. About 20% actually believe that government were looking after the best interests of the population. What do you think where does that leave us now? What do you think our options are to be able to shape the future that we want?
Okay, well there's two ways we can react to that. The first way is just to switch off, to say it's too hard, that we can't control the calibre of the person that we get in government, people that we get in government, and we just have to accept. And that's actually what's happening in Australia at the moment. The second way we can react to it is to actually get angry and start creating change ourselves and insisting on our governments actually doing what they should be doing, and that's supporting communities properly to actually minimise disadvantage rather than just allowing it to happen.
Well, that's all well and good for someone like you who's very well educated to say, and maybe someone like me and the people in Ideapod that are watching that have had access to areas of privilege. But what about an ordinary person that might sit there and feel like, well, actually, you know what, I am disempowered and I don't have the ability to shape my own future, and I'm looking to government to show some leadership because I'm not in a position to do that myself. How would they respond?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'd say is we are all disempowered as long as we just think as individuals. But when we aggregate together, we're not disempowered. We can cause immense changes, and we're seeing that with some of the Get Up work, where they're actually mobilising hundreds of thousands of people on issues. Government doesn't like it, but it's actually the rawness of ordinary people standing up and saying, actually, enough is enough. We actually want to be heard. So collectively, we can actually change things. We've just got to have the will, and we've got to get rid of the apathy.
One question I've been really dying to ask, and I haven't had the chance to yet, is we talk about this rising inequality and social dislocation, and you said that 20% of the top 20% of people in the past few years have been increasing in their living standards, but the bottom 40% have actually had stagnation in their wages growth. And I know that we talk about our value being that we have greater income equality or greater outcomes for our people. But how do you reconcile that desire for greater equality with that innate human need for status above others? Do you have faith that in recrafting a system that creates greater equality, that humans themselves won't kind of thwart that in order to hold on to power, hold on to a sense of esteem that they feel the old system offers them and gives them significance?
Yeah, well, there are two primal drivers that we have as human beings. The first one is greed, to actually have enough, more than enough, to survive. The second primal driver is love, reaching out to our communities, the people we love, to support them. And what we've got to do as a society is move more towards the second. We all have a vested interest in that, whether you're wealthy or whether you're poor, because unless we're cohesive as a society, it could get actually quite nasty. We all value safety. We should all value respect. To be safe and be respectful in our society, we all have to look after each other, whether you're wealthy or whether you're poor.
And I can see a few people are joining now. Mark and Justin, hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from, everybody, and if you've got any questions for people. Peter, please just type them in. I do have a question for you. You said that, where do we seek leadership from in this this world of accelerating change? Traditionally, people look to government, or maybe even to business, to educational systems, perhaps, to show some leadership. There was also another concept that you raised that I think probably isn't that well known in Australia, and that is this idea of using business as a tool for social good. Can you talk a bit more about what that means?
Yeah, what I mean by that is that business is incredibly efficient in terms of driving a strategic direction and creating efficiencies. And if we can take those concepts into the social domain, then we can actually start solving persistent social problems. And one of the ways you do it is you set up companies or businesses not for the purpose of maximising profits for investors, but for the purposes of maximising social outcome. And there are a number of social businesses in Australia already doing that. We just need to create many, many more of them. And frankly, we need to get the government to get behind this movement so that at least a part of business is driving for social outcome rather than profit maximisation.
Awesome, Peter. And I see that Justin says that he's tuning in from Vietnam. And
wow.
Well, I guess the one last question before we go is, we've been talking at Creative Innovation Global about our vision for the future and accelerating change. But the question is to what? If you could usher in the future that you believe we have the potential to create, paint a picture for us.
The picture that I'd paint is that with the acceleration of technology, with artificial intelligence, with robots, and all of which will become a reality in our lifetimes, we are going to see massive change, and we are going to see quite a lot of dislocation. But when we come through that, my hope is that we'll find that technology is an amazing equaliser, and that our access to information, our access to very cheap fundamentals like food, like clean water, like cheap energy and so forth, will create a society where we no longer have hunger, we no longer have children that die because they're not cared for. We have a community that actually celebrates the abundance of our existence by helping and supporting everybody. And maybe that's a future world for us. But we'll only get there if we care enough.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Peter Hunt. And I can see that my battery's running low. And guys, we're going to say goodbye to you for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. And it's a real pleasure to have you on Ideapod. See you, everyone.
Cheers.